Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into the lungs to uncover the incredible story of what is really happening inside your body when you exercise and why a simple breath becomes just so powerful.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to wonder why you huff and puff during a run? We've all been there, right? Your heart's pounding, your legs are on fire, and you are just gasping for air. It feels so primal, but the science behind why your breathing just kicks into overdrive, well, it's absolutely fascinating.
Okay, so to really get a grip on that breathless feeling, you have to understand that there are two totally different stories happening at the same time. On one hand, you've got pulmonary respiration. That's just the mechanics, right? Moving air in and out of your lungs. But then there's cellular respiration. And that's where the real action is. Deep down inside your muscles, where that oxygen gets turned into energy and CO2 gets made. So let's start with the big question. Why do we gasp for air? How does what's happening way down in your cells trigger this huge response in your lungs? Well, it really all boils down to two critical jobs your body has to pull off every single second you're on the move. You know, most of us think breathing is all about one thing, getting oxygen in. And yeah, that's job number one for sure. But job number two is just as crucial, and that's getting carbon dioxide out. See, if that CO2 starts to build up, it actually makes your blood more acidic. And that is bad news. It can literally shut down your muscles. So your lungs are fighting this constant battle to keep your body's pH perfectly balanced.
So, how on earth does your body pull off this incredible balancing act? Well, it's got some seriously efficient hardware. Let's take a look under the hood at your body's amazing breathing machine.
All right, here it is. This is basically the command center for your breathing. You can see the lungs, of course, and then that big muscle underneath, the diaphragm. That's the real engine that drives your breathing. And all of it is connected by this network of airways that get the air exactly where it needs to go. So when you take a breath, that air travels down your windpipe and into this incredible structure called the bronchial tree. And it really is just like an upside-down tree, right? You've got the main trunk splitting into bigger branches, then smaller and smaller ones, all the way down to these tiny little twigs. But it's not all one big system. These branches actually do two very different things. Okay, so the system is split into two distinct zones. First, you have the conducting zone. Think of this like a highway system. Its job is just to move, warm up, and filter the air. But the destination, the place where all the magic happens, is the respiratory zone. That's deep in the lungs, where millions of tiny little air sacs called alveoli are just waiting for that gas exchange to happen.
All right, let's track the journey of your oxygen. So, what does this whole process look like when your body is just calm, at rest? Let's follow one single easy breath and see this amazing system and its quiet, super efficient default mode.
So when you're just sitting there, not really thinking about it, breathing is beautifully simple. Your diaphragm, that big muscle we saw earlier, it just contracts and flattens out. That makes your chest cavity bigger, and boom, air flows in. And when you breathe out, the diaphragm just relaxes. The air flows out all on its own. It's totally passive, almost zero effort. And here's the thing, breathing is all about pressure. Your body is so clever, it just uses basic physics. It's not really sucking air in. What it's doing is expanding your chest to create a low-pressure zone, like a vacuum, and the higher-pressure air outside just rushes in to fill that space. It's a simple, elegant principle called bulk flow. And this is the grand finale of that journey. Right here, in those tiny alveoli, the fresh oxygen you just breathed in crosses this impossibly thin barrier and literally jumps into your bloodstream. At the exact same time, carbon dioxide jumps out of your blood, ready to be exhaled. It's just a perfect life-sustaining swap. But that was all at rest. What happens when you go from a nice, calm walk to an all-out sprint? Well, this is it. This is when your elegant, efficient respiratory system gets put to the ultimate test.
Yeah, during intense exercise, your muscles are literally screaming for oxygen. And at the same time, they are desperate to get rid of all that CO2 they're producing. The demands just change in an instant. That calm, passive system we just saw, it has to flip a switch and become a high-performance machine. And just look at these numbers. They are absolutely staggering. When you're exercising hard, your muscles can demand more than 15 times the oxygen they need at rest. At the same time, they're producing this tidal wave of CO2, and your body has to get it out and get it out fast to keep your blood pH from going haywire.
So, faced with this sudden crisis, how do your lungs adapt? How does your body respond? Well, it adapts with a bunch of powerful, coordinated changes, and it all starts with the way you breathe out. Okay, let's just quickly go back to our baseline. Remember how we said that at rest, exhaling is totally passive. Your muscles just relax. Well, that's the very first thing that has to change.
So why does this happen? Why does expiration suddenly become this active, powerful event? Well, it's pretty simple, really. You just don't have time to wait around for air to gently leave your lungs. You need that next breath of oxygen, and you need it now. So you have to forcefully push all that old, stale air out of the way to make room. And to do that, your body calls in the heavy hitters. Instead of just relaxing, it recruits your abdominal muscles. Yep, your abs, like the rectus abdominis and your obliques. They contract and they actively squeeze the air out of your lungs with force, clearing the deck for that next big gulp of air. So here's the bottom line of the exercise response. Your whole breathing pattern gets a massive upgrade. Your inhales get way stronger and deeper. Your exhales transform from this passive, gentle thing into a powerful, active push. And all of this creates a fast, forceful rhythm that lets your body keep up with the insane demands of exercise. So, with all this extra work, it brings up a really interesting question. Can your breathing muscles actually get tired? I mean, we all know our leg muscles get tired, that's obvious. But what about the muscles that power your lungs? For a long, long time, scientists thought they were basically fatigue-proof. But it turns out the answer is yes. During really long, grueling exercise or during those super high-intensity, all-out efforts, your respiratory muscles can, and they absolutely do, get tired. Your diaphragm can fatigue, just like your quads can. So what's the takeaway from all this? We've gone through the mechanics, the amazing way our bodies adapt to exercise, and even the fact that our breathing muscles can get tired. So what's the big picture? It's actually pretty simple and pretty powerful. Just like any other muscle in your body, your respiratory muscles can be trained. That's right, they can adapt, they can get stronger, and they can become more resistant to fatigue. So the next time you're out for a run or a ride and you're breathing hard, just think about that. You're not just training your legs and your heart, you're training the very machine that gives you life. And what could that mean for you? That's a thought to explore.